What's up guys, in today's video we're gonna show you how free kicks have evolved throughout the years.
So in the early 1900s, the most used technique was a long run-up with speed, hitting with the laces in the far right corner. Back in the day, this old ball also made it very difficult for both the striker and the keeper, so as you will see, most goals were not that good.
I can see why they used this technique back in the day, mainly because of this ball being so unpredictable, so it's much easier to shoot next to the wall rather than over it. So yeah, very basic technique, but I guess it worked back in the day.
Free kicks really didn't change that much until the 1970s, when it became much more common for people to pass or chip the ball up to the teammates when taking a free kick. During this period, we saw some absolutely crazy free kicks, some of which we have recreated before, and it's fair to say that this trend in football made the game a lot more entertaining to watch.
In the 80s, free kick techniques moved away from more complicated free kicks towards a more consistent focus. Players famous for their consistent style in the 80s are players like Maradona and Zico. So what people like Maradona did in the 80s is that they placed the ball with the inside of the foot, it got a bit of curve, and usually they shot it into the keeper's corner, in the far corner.
As the free kick evolution goes on, of course, in the 80s, this technique became more consistent, was more focused, people started to aim better and eventually score even more goals. And that's why this is a really great technique and yeah, can probably still be used to this day.
So in the 90s, there wasn't a revolutionary thing in terms of free kicks, but they kind of perfected Maradona's technique, added a bit more power and a bit more curve, which made it even more difficult for the keeper to save.
Yeah, I'm so obnoxious. Yeah, I'm so obnoxious. Pay my deposit. Fix it, you toxic, and way too ironic.
And an important point to make during this period is that the equipment, like the balls for instance, was a lot more consistent than before, which made it easier to try out some different techniques and get more consistent using them.
This is pretty much the point where free kicks started to become more dangerous for the keepers because people started to perfect them and get much better.
Between the years of 1995 and 2005, many players perfected their very own style of free kicks. One of these players was Juninho, that was famous for shooting long distance knuckleball free kicks from about 40 meters distance.
Do you understand? Told you I'm not signing shit. Need at least 100 bands. We in different continents. I rock Louis monograms. I was in so deep inside shit.
Juninho and his knuckleball free kicks revolutionized the game of football, but nowadays it is not that common to see because it is so difficult to pull off in a game.
Another player who developed a very specific technique between 1995 and 2005 is obviously David Beckham. We all know his free kick routine, brings his arm around and he gets a bunch of curve, and obviously one of the most iconic free kick takers of all time. In conclusion, the David Beckham technique is obviously very effective. He was one of the first people who got that insane curve on the ball, and you know, it's an iconic free kick technique because of the goals he has scored and also how effective he was. Next up, we got Ronaldinho's free kick technique, which has influenced the way a lot of people these days take their free kicks. The difference between this free kick and, for instance, Beckham's free kick is that this free kick has a bit more power and dip to it.
I just did it one night. Said she got a boyfriend, but he's way too uptight. Baby,
as for the Ronaldinho technique, I feel like we were kind of unlucky, hit the bar a couple of times, but overall we got some good attempts, and this is a technique that has inspired lots of modern free kick techniques, especially with the way it combines power, dip and also curve.
Over to the iconic Ronaldo knuckleball free kick technique, which has started to become so popular from around 2005 and onwards. He got so good with the technique, scored almost every single time, and he's got some of the most iconic free kicks of all time.
Yeah.
Damn, you got hits.
We just finished with the Ronaldo knuckleball technique, and What a fun technique it is to try out. Not used so much more these days. You know, maybe Rashford, he's sort of trying the same technique as Ronaldo did.
Another iconic free kick technique from 1995 until 2005 was Roberto Carlos one. A really long run up, obviously strikes the ball with his laces and gets an insane outside curve. I have a small injury right now, which kind of prevents me from doing that technique properly, but we are going to show you some of the examples that are like the best Roberto Carlos recreations we have on this channel. It is definitely not an easy technique, and you know, not a lot of people use it in game, but we all remember it for how iconic it was. So it's obvious that these days consistency and efficiency are the key words, and that's why I see that, you know, people don't go for those like crazy goals with the knuckleball, and they don't always need to go for top ins.
So in today's age we have seen players like Messi, Jadon Sancho and Trent scoring these types of free kicks with a bit more like curve and dip.
A player this year who shows the efficiency and consistency of this free kick technique is Ward-Prowse. He's been amazing this year, and he shows that this technique is so consistent in the modern era.
Another very commonly used technique these days is like the inside of the foot dip. Players like Kevin De Bruyne and also Gareth Bale use this technique. The point is not to get it top ins, just to get it over the wall and then perfectly bounce before the line. So that's it for the video. This is how free kicks has evolved from the 1900s.
And comment down below which technique was your favorite.
So that's it for now. Thank you once again so much for watching. Drop a like and of course subscribe for more content coming this Christmas. So we'll see you next time. Peace out.
Yeah. Every single day, do my thing, I can't be held back. Everything I say, people feel like damn I felt that. I can't let her stay, check her out like a hotel staff. I can't do no dates, I can't buy her no Chanel bags. Girl a stoner, I swear she a loner. Why she said come over, I don't even know her.